Welcome, everyone, to IRL Alpha. My name is Amadon, and I'm your host, and we're here to talk about all things NFT, Web3, art, tech, and maybe some other things. We'll see. But we're not here to lecture you. We're here to fight with you. So if you're in the audience, you have a take, raise your hand. There's microphones in the audience. Talk into that microphone. That's not just so we can hear you. It's so the chat can hear you. Because guess what, everyone? These screens everywhere is the Twitch chat. Hello, Twitch chat. How are you? If you got a take in the Twitch chat, just type it out. Maybe you're here live and you're nervous about talking in a microphone. You can go to twitch.tv/BeaconBot and you can type out your hot takes there and we'll read them here, okay? The only thing we ask of you is you don't shill. You don't tell us your life story. You keep it nice and short and concise. We're here to have a conversation together, not hear about the trauma you received in your life. If you talk a little too long, Trik's going to play a couple little sounds. Trik, show him a little bit of this. Okay, there you go. Okay, there you go. It's acoustic today, okay, later, okay? Well, here you go, Trik. If you talk way too long, it's going to sound like... Okay, there we go. Okay, and we will cut you off and keep moving on. Okay, beautiful. Before we get in this panel, though, already, if you guys haven't realized, this entire show is put on by two people, myself and the person who does everything else important, the audio, the visual, the plans, every single thing other than talking this microphone right here, Trik, and he's also the smoothest pad master in the land. Trik, show him what you got. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, if you hear those sounds again, while you're talking, though, that means shut up, okay? That's all. Okay, back again with the beautiful Dr. Evil Energy, Shava on the lap, Rosenbaum. How are you today?
Amazing. How you doing?
What are you doing this week?
It's hot. This weekend?
No, I meant this week. You know,
this week, man. Just, hanging out on DeFi with YouTube and banning people off Art Block's Discord,
Yeah, I did hear this was a good week. Why are the bands like the weather, the heat's getting hotter, and the people get wilder in Art Block's Discord? It's really a thing. Like they
watch out for Art Blukes and Taylor Hobbs.
Yeah, a lot of scams going. Also, so happy you're back. Already back from last week. Logick, you were here last time for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, how do I make him a regular? What do we do? So I shot my shot, and I said, can you please come back again? Especially since we have some other regulars that I wanted you to interact with. Logick, how are you?
I'm blessed, bro. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love to hear it. If you guys haven't seen Logick's founder of Studio Logic, who's done collaborations with the brands you want to do. I'm talking the Chicago Bulls, okay? Sorry, Trik. If you didn't see, he's got the Celtics logo that's not lit up right now. You fucked up. There you go. Okay. Back from New York again, not arrested. We're always very blessed. And we're actually going to talk about a couple different things you're launching this week. Patrick, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay, beautiful, lovely, okay. We'll make him talk more once the show starts, all right? And finally, another one. Now, dude, Jesus Christ, Monster Mike, he was pretending he's like a broke artist. And then 1 week later, he's on the panel twice, and he's like, guys, I'm going to New York from now on. I'll be over there. Oh, I can come back for the show for a day, but I'm going to fly out the next day.
No, I'm flying out Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday. He'll be, he's going to stay through the weekend. We're so blessed for here. So, Monster Mike, how are you? How is New York?
Doing good. New York is good. It's even hotter than here, but, so it's good to be back in cool weather.
Beautiful. Okay, well, actually, maybe to start off there, this doesn't go to New York, but you were both in New York, Patrick and Monster Mike, and apparently one of you snuck into a very cool party, the Christie's and Tech party, and Patrick was invited. So, what was this event, and what was it? Yeah, that's it.
So since 2018, they've been doing a yearly kind of small invite-only art and tech event. That's where the Lost Robbies came from, which is a part of the NFT lore. But they did it again this year. It was last week.
So wait, real quick, the Lost Robbies was, there was an art and tech event, and some nerd handed out NFTs, and no one cared, and because no one cared, they were all lost, these Robbies, to the ether. And now because of the fact of how early they were and what event they were at, these Robbies are worth exorbitant amounts. Is that...
Well, it's debatable, because they just put one up for auction and no one bid. So... is it valuable? We don't, kind of, but also kind of not.
High reserve price. They're all going for multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're also interesting because they're GAN trained, which is one of the early iterations of AI. So this is early iteration of AI art, which obviously is very relevant now from 2018. So I think it's they're particularly notable art wise and also kind of collectible wise.
So if I'm ever at this Christie's and Tech event, my whole plan is I got to get a Lost Robbies off. That's it, right? You just want to it's legendary.
I got my bag. It was disappointing. Disappointing. It was like Gucci and Christie's, and I got packet for holding money.
Wait, stop. You got Gucci talking about Patrick, how rich are you right now? We're like, disappointing. A Gucci money clip is what you just described you got for free.
No Gucci stuff.
Okay.
It was like a plastic Christie's thing. That was it.
Also, I just want to point out the people who snuck in didn't get a bag. So.
Well, obviously.
That's how they would put you out. Like, where's your Gucci money clip? Like, this guy didn't get in here. Okay, well, I just want to get a quick little update.
Can I share a different point of view of the event?
Sure.
It's really cool. It's kind of like the cabal that all met up, you know? Like it was like I watched some of the panels, and there was a lady in the diamond industry. She's like covered in diamonds, and I said this on a space earlier, but they would make like recession jokes because they're so rich. You know, it was like crazy. It was.
Stop. This is the
really
problem.
fun to be
Monster
there.
Mike, I don't know what a recession joke sounds like. Like,
So
can you break down
I
this punchline?
I didn't either at first, but they'd be like, it was something like, oh, you know, we're also struggling in this recession, and the whole room laughed. And I was just like, what?
We all have to work on that, okay? As a group of just like, it is a bear market, and then everyone now, yeah, okay. That's how we get the bull back, all right? We have to trick people.
But it was cool, you know? It was like a movie.
I'm going to say, since I moved to Los Angeles, I've heard the word cabal more times than I've ever heard in my life. I'm starting to think the people that's bringing up the cabal don't realize that they're actually in the cabal.
Yeah.
I think this is a moderate cabal for sure.
Yeah, I will say cabal it's a hot term right now.
Yeah,
we
it's
all
just
love
hot.
it. But it is fun because the thing about a cabal, right, is that it can be a small group of people. It can be a ton of people. It can be online or not. I mean, this is like Monster Mike said it. I said, I want to join a cabal. He goes, you made a cabal. And I was like, wow, I've never thought about it.
Yeah.
I did make a cabal. And so, yeah, everyone just, look into your heart. You might already have a cabal. They're called friends. Okay. So related to this here, actually, I'm pretty excited to talk to Patrick about this since I just talk about him behind his back and he's finally in person. We got the 404 art catalog, right? So is August is this isn't the first month, is it?
This is the second month of the art catalog.
Nice.
Yeah, so submissions opened on Monday. They run through the 31st. So far, 1,460 something artists have submitted work for it. So,
crazy.
Yeah, happy about that. And a number of collectors have agreed to also contribute ETH towards buying submitted work this month.
Totally. Actually, Josh, if you'd find that collectors, I think somewhere. If you
Yeah,
scroll
no, they're
on
definitely
somewhere.
there because it's like 12 people that dedicated $3,500 to the to each purchase art, and that's amazing because I know we're gonna get to it, but just even seeing this in the other topics we're gonna talk about, even though there's a bear market in regards to the PFP, whether it's prohibition art or something like this, there's a lot of energy being generated towards the just art and why Pepe cards, just like the community, the culture.
Totally.
So this is dope.
Truthfully, Prohibition
Dope
has
as
been
hell.
that we've been talking about Prohibition week over week now, and it feels like they're just killing it. Like every week, it's like another cool drop, like more art that was like an artist that wasn't huge, dropping something that everyone's really excited about. But real quick, to break this down, okay, so if I understand how this works, the art catalog is, you've got how many collectors? 12 collectors or something like?
So 10 collectors are
Close enough. I was
matching
close.
what I'm putting into it.
So Patrick says he's going to put in $3,500. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you got 10 other collectors say we're going to match the same, but each one of them is picking out art from the artist, and they're also not. Can you overlap with each other?
Well, it's annoying because they're all buying a lot of art right now, and I'm waiting politely for it to all be done.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot of things I like just get snapped up.
Yeah,
But it's a quality problem.
Well, no. So the idea is that all 10 artists though are buying different artists, right? It's not like okay, cool, 3,500. I'm buying 12 Monster Mikes. I got it. That's my investment.
There's like no rules to any of this, right? There's no theme. Every artist gets to submit one piece that they want to share. You don't have to. It can be on any chain, any platform. Basically, one piece that you want to share and kind of get your name out there, and then everybody gets put into a collection on Join, where it's just the art and then the artist. So there's no preference for your number of followers. There's no preference for you being on super rare. It's just it just puts everybody on the same level, and then it's all kind of searchable on the site. So ideally, everybody just has a better chance of being discovered on their art alone. And I think discoverability is a huge issue in the space. So I think something like this is going to help a lot of artists that may not be able to have broken out of their Twitter bubble, kind of get seen by a lot of different people. And I'm already seeing a bunch of people getting collected and a bunch of new collector relationships getting started because of this. And a number of very notable collectors in the space were really supportive and required no convincing to match on the donation. So it's really nice to see this play out.
Totally. I mean, I'm thinking right now, like Monster Mike, you submitted, right?
Not yet. I'm finishing a piece.
Okay. Wait, are you actually finishing one to
Yeah.
submit? Okay. Nice.
What's
Now,
the price range of artwork? Is there a range, or is it all the same price?
Well, like Jonathan Little came out and said he's doing under 0.5, like he said. It's like
Okay.
0.5 is the max. And I do think there's no rules, but I think a lot of people have been saying we're setting a cap of like, it's not 10 ETH, 5 ETH, right? Or whatever. It's $3,500. They're trying to buy more lower priced pieces to spread the love, which I think is better. Yeah. How are you approaching it?
Well, there's some, I mean, I ended up getting 15 or so pieces last month with the same. I'm incredible one-of-ones for like 0.1 ETH and so forth from artists that are, not particularly well known. There's some incredible work there that you find when you kind of break out of your Twitter bubble. So, I think as a space as a whole, it's going to kind of go one of two ways. One way is that we just keep buying the 5 artists that do well, and then all of a sudden, crypto art became this little niche.
You created your own cabal.
Yeah.
Brand new cabal.
Yeah, and there'll be like most art movements where there's 5 people and then 1,000 people you don't. But I think we have a little bit more potential than that. So it would be really nice to see artists on the margins of the space have a little bit more, equality of opportunity to get collected, to get their work seen so they can make some money and stick around. And also then we bring in more people and we actually grow and make this thing a little bit
I'm
more
going to say I was
meaningful.
excited when I read it. As an artist, I was excited when I read it. Just from I shared it with my network of art opportunities because I feel like a lot of people feel like they can't be seen. And also I've been, looking at other chains. I have friends that, preach Tezos, and then friends that talk. Now you got Arbitrum happening, and then now Ordinals, and you always have to feel like you have to make a choice, or if you made a choice and you don't have a community there, now you feel left out unless you do Emblem Vault, but that's a whole nother conversation. But by just putting it all on one playing field and then capping it at 0.5, like, don't get beside yourself. We trying to share the love. 0.1 for a one-of-one when no one was selling prints, in the amount of people that's selling art now did not exist. So the fact that you can sell 0.1, 0.3, 0.5 is amazing. So
Thank you.
yeah, it's super exciting to see.
So it's funny. We see this a lot with like art. Right now, if someone hits the big leagues, right? Tyler Hobbs. Oh, I know Tyler Hobbs is worth money. He's Tyler Hobbs. How do you break into it? And like any good like sports system has minor leagues and G leagues and all these other places where we can go and scout people. Right? And so even right now, there's 2 things that are happening. One is I can look at, what did Patrick actually like? Who are the artists? Great. He picks out 15 artists like he did last month. Those are 15 artists that I can now explore. At the same time, if there's 1,500 other individual artists, I'm going to go in there and say, what did Patrick miss? The idiot. Here's the real, like the diamond in the rough. He couldn't even see it.
That's very Beacon.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through. I'm going to find the best one you missed. I'm going to buy it. And then, but
well, if he was really mischievous, can he front run you, and can the casual viewer buy from this submission, or is it limited to you 10 plus you?
Anyone can buy. Like, I just don't want any limitations on this. You put your art in there, and then ideally, it's not just these 10 collectors and myself. I just want it to be available to everybody. I've had artists looking through this and finding other artists that they like, and I mean, it's just nice to get everybody's art in the same place once a month and kind of see what the artists care about, because that was a problem I had. I'd find an artist that I liked, I'd go to their page, and they'd have maybe 20 different things available in different collections, and we've been in this space for long enough that a lot of people have multiple things, so it's hard to figure out, hey, what do you care most about? And the only way we can do this is by talking to them, and it's a whole thing. So just having to pick one, just tell me like the one thing that you care most about and put that up there for sale. Like that's takes a lot of the effort out of this and helps make connections easier.
That is such a good. Also, as an artist, you have to force people to say, "Okay, pick the one." Right, because you're an artist, it's like, oh, hey, I've got 12. Here it is. And you're like, bro,
Yeah.
when you get that, when you're in that elevator finally, and your next snowfro, it's like you don't have time to say, well, here's my early work, here's my later work. You got to, show them the one. So yeah, beautiful. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah,
So if you don't collect Monster Mike's piece, then it's gonna hurt really bad up here. I'm setting up. Yeah.
So Patrick, did you recruit all these collectors yourself? You got a really nice
Yeah.
The
I did.
collection-
mega
insane.
superstar list of collectors there, including Snowfro.
Thanks. Yeah.
Redbeard was one of my first collectors.
Oh really? Oh awesome. Nice. Yeah, it's funny. Redbeard, like absolute OG collecting. Eli, who's in charge of curation at Proof. Cosmo, we don't need to say anything about Cosmo. Like Anonymix, which is, and Patrick, I feel like that's your collector. Jonathan Little, who's just a sick poker player who also collects sick art. I'm reading his Twitter for poker tips right now. I'm hoping to get better here. So. Yeah.
So I reached out to 9 of the people and just said, hey, here's what I'm doing. Would love to, love your support. And everyone said yes. I didn't get a single no out of anybody I reached out to. And then Jimble just made a tweet off of my last month and said, hey, I'll match this next month, just on his own. So I invited him to.
That's pretty cool.
Well, actually, there actually is more to this. I see POV collector. Apparently, we got Arthur Brightman from Tessos in the house here. Okay, so John is just freaking out. He wants us to bring it up, so we will bring it up. Okay, this is chain agnostic here, right? So it doesn't matter. This is not a ETH collection. Anyone can collect from anywhere. What has been your composition so far of what you've been collecting, and what have you seen from other people?
I think probably 10 or so on ETH last month and 5 on Tez.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's soul pieces on there too, but I didn't have any soul.
We'll have to see. Arbitrum's probably going to be starting to pop.
Yeah.
Actually, this is actually the newest thing. There's a new index I'm watching, which is what is the coin breakdown of this monthly catalog, right? We're going to see Arbitrum, I bet, more this week or this month, right?
Well, look, I mean, if something is going to get me to go exchange and buy the token to get on it's going to be a piece of art that I want. So. Hopefully I think we're all better off with a multi-chain ecosystem because no artist wants to be tied to a single token and a single token price. So I feel like embracing something that's more chain agnostic is healthier for all of us for the long run. So
question for a person like you who's a diehard artist who cultivated something like this. How important is it to display the NFT in physical space? Is that important to you at all, or is being on your wallet enough?
You do know that Patrick will go to jail for 3 years if he visits Hong Kong because of displaying his NFTs in physical spaces. So I will say I'm trying to help him. He's got a problem. Every time he displays them, he's about to go to jail. But Patrick, what do you?
No, I think it's a great question. I think that's one of the reasons why we have so much promise in the space. You look at traditional art, goes on a wall, right? The people that can see it are the people that come to your house or come to your studio or come to your gallery, wherever they go. With digital work, you have giant screens in the middle of cities. You have TVs, you have watches, you have phones. You have so many more distribution outlets for your art, and it can travel. You can do shows multiple places at the same time. I think physical display is a critical element of making all of this work, and I think that as we move forward, there will just be more and more options displayed more and more publicly and accessibly for digital work. So I can't see that digital work diminishes in importance and relevance at all. And I think with the physical displays and the increasing options we have for distribution that way, I think it's just going to, again, just keep pushing digital art more and more into kind of public consciousness and relevance.
Well, I think we do need to expand what digital displays are right now. Because if you actually talk about what is art in public, Anish Kapoor, The Bean. Yeah, I'm going to call it The Bean too, okay? Just to make them mad, right? There's Richard Serra pieces in public. There's many things that art in public that you go and interact, and it cuts up a public space, and it's a destination, and it's people all interacting with the art. A lot of times with digital displays, it's up there, right? There it is. There's some art up there, and it's not affecting my reality on the earth. So I think we're not doing digital right.
There's something really cool called augmented reality.
Oh yeah, you would say that.
That's really cool and is going to be a really big part of the future. So just that problem you're describing, not a problem.
I think we're all in a really good spot right now for making this.
I love what you did here, man. It's like a breeding ground. It's taking these unknowns, having more opportunity. It's like subverting. It's just like the springboard of this ecosystem to get a chance to subvert this old world. And you're going to see that with what's going on with the strike and in music and stuff like that. Where community curation, it's we're on the same level. We all go to the bathroom the same way, and let's start there and level up.
That's not true. I got techniques.
Okay, you get the point. But the point is that what you did here is a good replication of what's going to be happening with the old model, just suppressing us because that's a singularity, So I really appreciate even seeing that, and I have been watching it, but I just wanted to notate that.
Thank you.
Could I ask a question, Patrick?
Nope.
So I love the leveling the playing field. It's just about aesthetics and all that. And I remember in past you made a big deal about how the aesthetics really don't matter anymore, and it's more about the narrative for a lot of pieces. So, and I see this like I disagree. I think the aesthetics do matter, and this is more in line with that. But just like what is your feeling towards that difference? Because I know you've had strong thoughts on narrative-based stuff.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has. I think obviously the narrative is the most critical element. I think aesthetics are secondary to that.
First
And
of all,
I think the artist's
Patrick, you just
story
said something very controversial, and you said obviously. Okay, I'm going to say you cannot. Just a note. You did say keep going, but you just said obviously.
Well, you can't have an interesting show without some arguments.
Yeah, of course. Just,
Yeah. No, I think, but obviously the aesthetics are generally the first thing that draws you to a piece of art. So it is important. It's just not as important as actually having a story once you get drawn in. And I feel like that's how this works. You see a piece you like, you're drawn into it, you expand it, they have a description, you can dig into the artist, because every artist has a different perspective based on their own unique experiences. And I feel like the more artists lean into their own unique viewpoint and the ability to tell a story that no one else can tell, the more interesting the art piece ultimately is. So yeah, aesthetics matter to get people into your world where you can share your story with them. So I think that's how this thing works.
It's cool. It's really cool.
Thank you.
Well, no, real quick. Patrick's lying. He's just like, that one looks cool. I'm sure they got a good story. Okay, like this is the problem I do often. I'm looking at art and I'm like, I want to get into the artist. I'm like, why are you doing this? What have you done before? What are your techniques? Where have you come from? And it can be hard to find that. And I do think that people who have like a deeper history that's easily available, it's easier to dive in. Actually, a great example is I'm going to say her name wrong, Vera Molnar drop that came out this week. If you look her up, she's got a Wikipedia article. And by the time you finish reading, you go, oh my God, she's the most OG generative artist. She was doing computer-generated art in the 60s. And it's a Wikipedia article, so it's nice and simple and clean. I could read it. And the story right away, I was like, take my money. So it's.
Did you mint?
It was too expensive.
You just said take my money, man.
I was ready for up to an ETH, and then it was 3 ETH. So I was like, I got an ETH, and it was like free. Okay.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, she's incredible, but the thing is, her story. There are articles written about her. There's all kinds of different pieces of text that contextualize her and her contribution to the art world, and that's a big thing that we're missing right now. Right now, we've just kind of created this explosion of art, and we've accomplished the goal of giving value to a pixel, which is a pretty significant accomplishment in and of itself. But we just need a lot more arts writers, a lot more critics coming to the space and taking a look at what's there, writing articles about it, and just kind of helping us sort through just this absolute chaotic mess of art that we have right now. And I think that will come in time, and that's something, but I do think that's something that's really important. So we do have to figure out how to better integrate arts writing and art critique into the ecosystem in order to help people. It helps with discoverability, helps sort out the good stories from the maybe less interesting.
Patrick,
art.
do you think that needs to come natively through our own community, or are you looking for that in the traditional art nets and artsies and the traditional art reviewers and critiquers?
All of it. But I'm launching something with 404 relatively soon that's going to hopefully incent some of the outside writers to write more about digital art and artists, because it does all help. I mean, everything that gets out in the major trades, art newspaper, ArtNet, does help the profile of space and digital art, rise up. And, we're kind of in this together. So, like, I think it's a important.
That's how I learn a lot about the art. And I find that right now the most plentiful art critiques are coming through Twitter threads. Yeah. Straight to organic source right there.
See, those are interesting because, like, half the guys have no idea what they're talking about, but some of them do. But like some of them, you're like, what are you talking about?
You said 60%
well,
of
it's
the
different.
time it works every time.
The people in spaces, that's why I have a problem with space a lot of times, is you don't know who you're listening to. It's just somebody has an opinion, and you don't know their history or their background, and they're just talking a bunch of bullshit. But, when you start really going through a lot of people's threads, you can really identify the ones that have these art backgrounds, or at least they have a really great critical eye, and they make a lot of sense based on the comments. You can really see that and kind of waver through the junk.
Obviously, I disagree as an art bullshitter. That's what I do in life. And so, like, I think it's really great to hear what are people's bullshit opinions about art, because that's how the general public is going to receive it, right? Yeah. Like Keith Haring, Basquiat, if you ask any average person, what do you know about this? Oh, I know a bunch, man. And Basquiat, he dated Madonna. He did some cool stuff. And you're like, dude, you're so ignorant. And you're like, but he's got something. And I can hear at least what are the base opinions of someone who's ignorant. That helps you inform of, like, well, I don't know, everything about how an art's perceived.
You're mining it for data.
Yes. I like to mine.
Also very vegan. No, but there's some people doing really good arts writing natively in the space right now. There's Culture 3, there's Right Click Save, Outland. And there's a number of individuals that are also writing on their own. So we do have like something growing, but I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of pieces of art and there's thousands of artists. So it's going to take a while to kind of catch up, but I think it's a important but kind of missing element in space.
And it's interesting, like when we say should it be based on our community online, when just Web3 has so many subcultures in itself, and I think we can find ourselves in this echo chamber of what's relevant or with shit posting or whatever. But basically, and you also just kind of just brushed over like it was no big deal of saying I pretty much hacked mass adoption or acceptance for the art community.
Sounds like Patrick.
You just kind of brushed over that. But if that does come to be, because the article, the places you spoke about is very central to the Web3 community, if it is going to extend outside of that, then I think that sentiment in which culture, real life walking around culture that now has access to this information and their favorite writer or platform talks about these things, I think we'll get a way different sentiment about what's deemed dope and what's not, will we really give our time to? Because right now it is still highly dominated by a specific group of people.
So I love that. I love you say walking around culture, because I think that's one of the most interesting things about the space. And again, like the space is fragile. Like all this can go away very easily. I don't think people appreciate that enough. But the space right now is far more accessible and inclusive than art used to be. It used to be, hey, you got your Yale MFA. You got a cousin's friend's brother working at the Gagosian. Okay, cool. You can be an artist, and if you didn't have those very favorable circumstances, you're kind of on the outside. But it's not perfect. It's far from it. But it's much better meritocracy right now. It is accessible from people not in New York or LA. You can gain access to this market. You can share your work. You can get to the same level. You look at somebody like Osinachi from Nigeria, making work with Microsoft Word, and all of a sudden now he's in Christie's and he's known and he's done a whole thing in his community back home. But
you just told the fastest, best story I've ever heard my entire life as an artist. Like, Microsoft Word, Nigerian artist. I'm like, dude, take my money. What are you talking about? That is a simple, beautiful story where I'm like, I want to see the art now.
There's two sides. There's two sides too, right? So we have the potential to have a much more inclusive and accessible art world. And on the flip side, you look at who's collecting art. A lot of people are first-time collectors, people that came across some crypto money and they're like, hey, this is cool, I'm buying art now. You have a whole class of people that aren't kind of the stodgy old art historian, all the people you imagine are at Christie's, right? Like, it's a whole different group of people collecting art and being aware of art. And I feel like as much as we try to make art accessible to the artists, making art accessible to just regular people as part of their daily life, I think is one of the real promises of what we're doing with digital work. And I feel like you got to encourage both sides of that. So I think let's get it away from what the diamond dress recession jokes and like back in kind of the hands of the people. So
there was a statistic that like 80% of Christie's business is from a whole new class of collector, and they're much younger, and also like 90% of the buys or something are
and
often
Russian, but we won't go there.
Yeah. But you also got to look. You got to look at like hip hop culture and how much hip hop culture has brought art with them. I mean, I just watched a Lil Yachty video today. It was an interview with him at his house, and he's talking about crayons that he bought.
Are you talking about the Bobby Altoff interview?
Yeah, the Bobby interview. And he's literally got these crayons. He's like, I don't know, they're like $4,000 or $5,000 each. He's like, they're not real crayons. Like, no, it's art. I don't know. Oh, this Batman piece. Oh yeah, no, I like 6,000. It's art. But it was like at the end of the day, all of these kids aspiring to be these people, whether it's Drake, whether it's him, whether it's Lil Uzi Vert, all these people, their acknowledgement to streetwear, to art, to everything is like all it's gonna take is Lil Uzi Vert to have a Thank You X up in his house, and all of a sudden everyone's gonna be like, oh, NFTs, I get it.
No, that is so true, because I will say, like, I remember watching Cause. I was going to all the stores to buy my dumb streetwear when I was a kid, and they would have the bear bricks and all that, and no one really cared about, like, Cause was just a collector for these nerds. And then Pharrell. It was these Pharrell's mansion in Miami, the big Cause pieces. Like, he had giant Cause pieces, and all of a sudden people said, oh my God, like, I need to buy the fine art pieces. And literally, the bear bricks all went up, because they were like, oh my God, Pharrell, he's got the paintings from it. And like, I definitely know it influenced a huge culture of just seeing people say, this is fine art.
Takashi Murakami and
100%, yeah.
And the Graduation album.
Exactly. And same thing, like Jay-Z has put money for, he's not like buying the cheap Basquiats. He's buying the Basquiat, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you want this in MoMA, you want this, like, this should be, like, he is the top bidder for a reason, and it is legitimizing it in a lot of different ways. Like, Basquiat doesn't need legitimization, but well, to bring it back though, I think the thing is, it's about like, how do we tell stories, right? Art is all valuable, as Patrick's saying, from narratives. So before there is some art dealer who's going to tell you like, he's the best, this kid, like Monster Mike, you don't understand, he's #1, he's going to be the biggest artist in the world, and you run around, you tell everyone, you build up a big brand. From there are artists like, there's your Andy Warhols, who he's throwing fucking parties, man. He's got a cool scene. It's like, dude, Warhol, like, oh my God, have you been to his parties? Wow. And then his art has some mystique. There's other people who they meet someone who is their biographer, who is able to say like, they're such a crazy genius. Let me tell you, Monster Mike works like a psycho. You know, this is why it's amazing. So if the question is that when, as an artist, do you start seeking out to tell that story right away? If I'm going to submit to 404 Catalog next month, and I'm Monster Mike's new manager, which is, we just happened right now, okay, I just bugged, I'm going to work on a YouTube video of his history. That's all that matters. I don't care what the fucking piece is, right? I should just focus on, how do I make a YouTube video that is like the Monster Mike story?
It's interesting. So like, let's take ringers for an example, right? I have not understood ringers up until like a week ago. And I was really trying. I was asking everybody. No one understood it. They were just like, oh, it's expensive.
Why didn't you ask me?
You know?
I understood it.
I did ask you. You didn't explain it well.
Oh.
But then I asked.
He didn't listen.
Is the manager relationship over?
Yeah, we broke up right now. Okay?
And it's all recorded. Yeah. But I asked the right person. This lady, Sofia Garcia, who used to represent Dimitri when he was like selling nothing, you know? And she was like, okay, so ringers is you take some pegs and you wrap string around it. And it's just about recreating that simple physical task digitally. And for some reason, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, it finally clicked. It was so stupid, but it was just the right words from the right person in the right setting, you know?
That's been in the description since day one.
No, but it was, yeah, I didn't
read the docs.
What was she wearing?
I
what
stopped.
was she wearing?
Yeah, exactly.
I stopped at the circles and I was like,
you didn't read the.
She had a hat that said "touch grass."
No, but wait, for multiple art though, it also is okay. And I know as I got into like art when I was younger, just going to museums, like stuff doesn't have to hit you right away. You read the description, like I don't, whatever, who cares? And then like all of a sudden, damn, that Ellsworth Kelly, like that's the green.
Dude,
that was the
Ellsworth
right.
Kelly,
that's
he's
the right
overrated.
green. You got something to say?
I do, dude. Okay, Patrick laughed, so I want to hear his thoughts on this. You guys know Ellsworth Kelly? Minimalism, right?
Yeah.
It sucks. It's just stupid.
Shut up! What is your problem? Like,
it's worse than ringers.
No, it's not. What is your
Yo, Art
it.
Block's
No, he's got some good stuff.
community
He's
is
got
die
some-
hard for sure.
Yeah. No, but I say there's always this problem of like, and I understand where where Monster Mike comes from. He's a young kid. He's ignorant. He only looks at art today within whatever context he knows. He never can think back then that this is, you know, a time when people are really pushing minimalist aesthetics and experimenting. What is like right now?
Listen, okay, minimalism.
Your canvas is all square and rectangular and boring.
You folded it for some reason.
No, it fell.
To make it more interesting.
Minimalism was very hard to sell. If you read any art history book, the dealers were like, they could not sell minimalism.
So it's bad art. Is that what you're saying?
Inherent, like, okay, Patrick was talking about the visuals get you in the door, right?
Yeah.
These visuals were not enough for most people. It took many years of laborious narrative to sell this and get it to where it is. So it's just interesting. It's different, you know? Or like...
Okay, so what's throwing me off is it looks like Amber Vittori.
Well,
Yeah,
this was first.
This is
I know, I get it, but I'm just saying. I literally am
calling out Amber on the timeline. There's been minimal art before. Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously.
Colors and blocks. I mean, a lot of people do it.
If you start researching about older artists who are very successful, and then you go to a lot of our current idols, you're like, oh, he's just ripping off so-and-so.
Oh, of course.
And then every other artist is like, yeah, why are they popular?
I think this is a really good analogy for currently where we are in the NFT space, because we're currently minimized to just JPEGs and just digital art or just this or just that from the outside public. So I think it's a great analogy to press down on minimalism and say, like, you know, what's the story? What's the juxtaposition?
That's a good, yeah.
Why-
It's just a JPEG to a lot of people.
Why
can
are
copy
you
and paste it.
resurrecting an art movement that died 40 years ago today? What's your reasoning?
For
For
NFTs or minimalism?
Abstract art, minimalism, and we've gone past a lot of these things already in
Yeah.
the contemporary world, and just bringing them right back for this because people like the aesthetic and people buy it. You know, teach their own.
I'm talking about the context. Like when
Yeah.
you walk through a gallery and you see one of these pieces next to another piece that speaks to you, you say, how did this get here? But if you look at NFTs and people talking about NFTs on major platforms and saying, how did this get a $50,000 price tag or $100,000
Yeah, it's like
price tag?
the line
It's a
Campbell
form of
soup
minimalism.
can shapes. Campbell soup can shapes. He painted a Campbell soup can. I don't get it. You painted a box of square. I could have painted a box of square. I could have painted a Campbell soup can. I could right click save. It's all ridiculous, right?
Okay, I'm not a believer in I could have done that ever for art.
No.
It's
That's
who
why I
did
said-
it.
That's why I
right?
said it,
Anytime
yeah.
a lot of simple stuff was out there. There's some songs out there and they're 3 chords. I'm like, I could have written you. Yeah, you could have.
Yeah.
But you were not the first person to do it and have confidence to put it out there and say, it's 3 chords. It's
there's-
one color.
But
It's-
there's always a good story. There's always a good story why the initial thing does well. It's like, it's always, and that's the thing in kind of the greater context of our history. It's like, oh, this is a reaction to this. You have to understand the story. Oh, that makes sense. And you realize they were just critiquing something that came before. Whereas NFT, you just kind of dig up what looks good and then mint it and
Yeah, well,
run
no,
with it.
I will always push back too on the idea of like, oh, this art right now is not like, it's not selling well right away. New art movements take time for people to adapt to, right? If I'm a rich person, I'm aspiring to get some art, and then all of a sudden the aesthetics always change. I'm like, what the heck? I was saving up for a cause, and now what do they look like now? It's AI? I don't like that, right? It's like you have to mentally learn how the new aesthetics look and what you like. Lost Robbies are only interesting, I feel like, for someone who has done AI art and been like, whoa, this is early shit. Like, oh, I see why it doesn't, like, what is it? It's like, bro, look how early. It's the story times the earliness, which you can only appreciate if you're a little
Like
nerd.
Crypto Rocks.
Exactly, dude. Ether Rocks.
I mean, I say
man.
crypto. Ether
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
2.2 million.
Beautiful. But no, Ether Rocks are important, and I will defend them to the death,
Yeah.
right? Because the whole point is that at one point, right, there was a pet rock. And the pet rock was a thing that existed, right? A bunch of our parents had it, and it's just a fucking, it's a rock, it's a toy.
And it was the first thing minted on the Ethereum blockchain.
Well, no, Ethereum, no. It
One
wasn't.
of them.
It was
early.
really
Super
early.
early.
It was
Super early.
It's super early.
Super early.
But the point is that there was already this weird thing of there they are, gorgeous. Oh. It's like there's this thing of like where people are like pet rocks. What's that valuable? And then all of a sudden we start putting art on the chain. Right away, some nerd said, "Let's put rocks on the chain. It's gonna piss everyone off." And it's still pissing everyone off today. 6 years later, it still infuriates people. Right when Ordinals came out, what happened? Rocktoshi put the rocks on there. Why? It pisses people off. So it's like, it's whatever. Ether rocks are great pieces of art. I'm saving up 300 ETH to hopefully get one day.
I just want to point out, Patrick is tweeting right now.
Oh, God. What is he tweeting? I'm scared.
I hope it's an audio tweet. Just how silly this is.
I look over
Oh,
and
we
you're
missed the
like
race.
editing.
I will say, I hang with Patrick every once in a while. This is how you know. You talk to Patrick, you're arguing. You know you're arguing really well. You're arguing back and forth, and he just stops and he tweets. And you're like, yes, there we go.
It would be awesome if like he could tweet and then by the end we could just go to the tweet and it's like a joke on us or something
No,
like that.
I feel like
I'm the
we've stumbled
worst
across
panel
something
right
very
now.
good here.
Yeah.
So I tweeted about it.
Okay, so I mean,
Go to the
I'll
tweet.
do this.
Go to
I'll-
the tweet.
pull his tweet. Stop,
Yeah.
stop. He doesn't know I can pull his Twitter up. Josh just walked away, but I can pull his Twitter up at any time here. Okay, sorry. He's gonna,
This is IRL live art right here.
yeah,
It's happening.
yeah. Okay, so we can move to some other things. I feel like we're having an art conversation today. It is the top news. I don't even know what left to discuss, but I mean, I got banned off Twitter. 3 days later, I came back. It was x.com. That's pretty hilarious. We do have some artists and designers here.
No
so.
one texted you that it changed.
No, I didn't. I got back and I was like, you're unbanned from x.com. I'm like, I've never signed up for x.com. And I got on there and I started tweeting.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
No, doesn't tweet
Carl's
is a
still
tweet.
banned? Jeez, yeah. So pretty rough here. Yeah, so I mean, first of all, I love that it was just like literally in 3 days. The company you've all known for multiple decades is just gone. It's x.com. Fuck it. The emoji's changing. Everything's changing. And it pisses people off. I like that, but
I don't know. I feel like he bought X.com back at the very, very beginning of all of this. It's a cool .com. I feel like, you know, if you're a billionaire, you want to spend $44 billion to like flesh out this purchase you made, you know, a couple decades ago. Why not?
yeah, not bad to me. Like, yeah.
Well, he's bringing back to his original vision of X.com, which was to create an independent global currency that's detached from banks and governments. So
everything
basically, the
that-
cryptocurrencies that we live with today, he is now implementing that into this much bigger than Twitter social platform. You know, obviously we all know WeChat in China, but that's what this is going towards. They're looking to replace banking infrastructure. They're looking to be the video platform, the audio platform.
You know what's not bad is controversy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, a bunch of people are going to sue you because you're using X, and Microsoft and a number of others have claims to the X, which is all dumb anyway, by the way. This is why we go in CCO. But, you know, like any controversy around this is good because it's just going to drive more engagement to Twitter, and he obviously understands that. The more controversy around Twitter, the more people pay attention to Twitter, and all of a sudden the more people are here, which is really good for us because NFT land exists solely on Twitter. So this is all healthy. I'm happy about this.
And on top of that, you know, it's not just the engagement; it's the incentivization of what engagers are going to be doing. Like, you know, people are now going, "Oh, I'm going to be a marketer," not like marketing agency, but just like how many rewards can I get from engagement and impressions and stuff like that. So people are the GM tweet, "Who's still awake?" That stuff works. Not that I want to do it, but
don't do it.
And then the political debates that are going to be happening. Not that I'm totally political. That's going to bring like millions of people on a space, maybe not a million, but more than a Mario Narwhal space, no offense. And that's going to bleed over. That's going to, there's no offense there. I'm just bringing it up as a metric.
Get him off the mic.
Yeah, but it's going to bleed into other sectors where that's where the news is happening in real time, unfiltered, and that's what we want. It's another subversion of what we've already had. And
so
that's
Troy, you saying I can make money like gang, yum. That thing is spicy.
I mean, I don't want to do that, but
Dude, honestly, I would watch you do that.
Oh, I would watch Troy do it.
Yeah.
it
would be like feet.
I think it has a lot of.
I like this.
I think X has a lot of. I mean, one is Twitter was bleeding money every week when he purchased it for a joke. $44 billion for this thing to continue to be a hole in my boat. He had to do some things. I think, you know, he is highly ridiculed, you know, for various reasons. But, you know, a lot of people didn't really understand him capping your viewership, 60 tweets a day, and then the premium, everyone looked at it as a cash grab. One, yes, it has to make money. But two, he had to circumvent the bots, right? Like if we're looking at data, we always like, oh, privacy this, privacy that, decentralization. And then we want to be like, well, what about not just completely disregarding the bots where if it's easy to scale bots when the memberships are free and now they're scrubbing everything that we do from just whether it's exaggerative, the way we communicate with the people or very genuine way we're interacting, all of us are getting scrubbed because you can spend up hundreds of thousands of bots for nothing for what you get, which is data. And if you can really just curve that by adding that little $6.99 or whatever it is, not saying because we all want access, but it's really going into a way where we're not just becoming farmed animals in that whole ecosystem, which is important. You know, we all say we want this thing and really don't know what the fuck it means. But then, you know, also X could be a thing for him to, because Threads came out to really rejuvenate or just try to generate some type of financial come up because they kind of hurting.
He's had this planned way before Threads. He had this planned before he bought Twitter. Twitter was actually a move to implement this vision. His X.com vision has never died. There's enough articles, there's enough little comments you can find on YouTube. You can find enough articles where he states this over and over and over again. His vision of X.com for a decentralized world global currency died with PayPal when it got bought out. It was a different part of the infrastructure, so he didn't continue it. It's just a recontinuance of his original vision.
I think Logick made a really good point basically about just getting harvested for your data. And, you know, kind of, again, we're like at an inflection point here. On one side, one of his pros is that he's very pro decentralization, freedom of speech, and not so much about selling all your data a la Facebook and Threads, but also WorldCoin was this week. So...
Oh yeah.
You know, we got OpenAI basically selling your biometric data to.
Well, they're not selling it, right? Yeah, they're collecting it. Just so you know, they haven't sold it yet. Just collect it.
There are two very different directions we go with all of this. So I think it's really important to have people defending, you know, kind of our right to privacy and our right to our own information. So.
Yeah, I mean, like the X thing, it's like, first of all, Threads was the hot topic. Already they've died off. And he said X, and whether they're happy or sad about it, it's the top news, right? Boom. The news is back on. Guess what we're talking about the news? Not on Threads, on X. We're all on X saying, do we like this or not? Like, so masterful move. He also did eliminate like this Twitter bias, like old Twitter baggage. He's maybe removed it. X is now Elon's thing. He's just like shedded years and years of it's always Jack Dorsey's app. No. It's Elon, it's X.com. Is that good or bad? I don't know. It's top in the news, but I don't know.
I like how he went about it, too, where he just used a font for a logo, and he's, like, doing all the stock, like, glitch effects. He didn't hire a designer.
Oh, I love stock effects.
It stretches to 3 X's for a second. It stretches to 3 X's. Watch.
No,
Oh yeah, it does. It does.
I'll tell you how this actually works.
Twitter OnlyFans competitor coming soon.
No, he literally just bought photo mosh.
That's so perfect.
Yeah. No, they
that is
found
it. Like, that's it.
But no, see,
It's so low effort. For
no,
the
you can be
design.
mad about that, but I'm
it's
excited.
Like, no, I'm into it because it's like he doesn't care about that. He just cares about the.
He also did a mass like call to action to take you know, just whatever. There might be a diamond in the rough and stuff like that.
All the Jack Butcher savants were like,
it kind of it kind of like it kind of overtook that O'Peppin thing.
No, Jack Butcher did cut beautiful.
Oh yeah,
gorgeous,
really good,
right?
really good.
Truthfully, when I look at it, it's a complete
looks like
inversion of the status quo to me.
It looks like it looks like a cat's butthole, which is fine.
It's not a bad logo here. Okay.
I mean, the interesting that I'm thinking about is what's the future going to like? I think we don't give Elon enough credit for the 2020 bull run, to be quite honest.
You're not supposed to be working right now.
A lot of his influence within the global acceptance of Bitcoin, and of course Doge there too. The data there also represents, if you do deep dives on it, his influence among the space is truly ridiculous. So as he starts incorporating crypto within this new platform, content creators are going to start getting paid in crypto, and we're going to be able to start doing all of our other banking and financial transactions in crypto. I think it's going to be very powerful for the global crypto landscape, to be quite honest.
Powerful for the entire landscape.
Oh yeah, it goes back to those large spaces that are bigger than the ones we have now. They're gonna like if they could tap in and know the little bit of the knowledge, they would not wonder anymore why we keep returning back here, because they're like, we come back here every week. There's an energy about it. There's progress moving. We're sharpening our skills. Like people are going to see that from the outside in real time, rather than hearing it from the media that's shitting on us by the infrastructure of the outside world.
Okay, so just to do it, we're getting some on-record commands here, okay? Monster Mike, are you scanning your eyeballs with WorldCoin?
No, there's an orb at the New York office, Station 3. They brought an orb for some reason, but never doing that.
Okay, cool.
I already did a clear and then deleted my account.
All right,
but they still have my eyeballs.
Monster Mike could be AI. Don't trust him. Patrick, you doing it or not?
Absolutely not.
Okay. I'm scanning my eyeballs. I'm scanning them twice. That's all there is.
I think we already said that, right? Like we said that with the finger. Like we was like, we're not going to use our fingers to. Yeah. I'm gonna say no. But if you see me doing it next year, mind your business.
You're doing it.
Okay.
You're definitely doing it. You're definitely doing it.
Absolutely not.
Thank you. Never.
I cannot wait until it's society of everyone. It's like you're gonna be at the airport. It's going, here's the fast pass for non-AIs. I don't know who you are. You might be AI.
That's literally the present. They have that. That's clear. You scan your eyeballs. You scan.
Oh, it's gonna be better than clear. Okay.
Okay. Question.
This you'll make 60 cents.
I'm not scanning my eyeballs either, but they are creating this in OpenAI's ChatGPT, and how else are we gonna prove proof of person? You know, like I would love to like have that. Like,
he's real.
You're real,
as far as
but
I know.
online, you know, like everything we're gonna interact with is gonna be AI. How can we prove that? You know, like there needs to be a way to prove that. And I'm not saying I'm down to scan anything just yet, but I've listened to some interviews in the last week with Sam Altman and the COO, and it like makes sense that they're doing this. I don't know what the real solution is, but do you guys worry about this proving personhood?
I'll just share something that's, I feel like, under-discussed. People forget about reality, you know? Where like Patrick just poked me saying he's real. Yeah. Like you can do.
But we're not going to interact always IRL.
What are we doing right here, right now?
Not always, though.
Right now, sure, but like, you know, a lot of things are going to be AI. A lot of things are not going to be what we think they are online.
Yeah, One quick point, and then
Okay,
let's go to AI
Tom.
expert.
We got Tom
Yes.
here. Actually, he's one of the guys working
knows
us all
stuff.
day. How do we prove we're real?
All right, so I got scanned yesterday.
Nice. Yes.
I got this T-shirt.
Oh yeah, he's unique. Yes.
Yeah,
I only trust Tom now. He's the only one I'm feeling safe about right
I'm
now.
real. I don't know about y'all. I'm real. But I think that this is a tool that people kind of overblew on how dystopic people think it is. The technology behind it is widely open source. The software it's running is open source. The hardware itself is open source. And the scans themselves are ZK locked and stay on the device. WorldCoin will never see my iris. It is there. And there are issues with it, right? Rook has spent some time talking about it, but there are attacks. My WorldCoin wallet could probably get compromised by an orb holder if I was someone worth targeting. But as just like a relatively regular human being, I think the technological risks are pretty low. And honestly, the ability to tell between bots on the internet seems like something that we really, really need.
Could I ask you a question?
Wait, yeah,
Why did you get scanned?
I think the tech's cool, and I trust it enough to do it. I have an iPhone that scans me. I have a Clear account.
So what about people who don't have eyes? What do they do?
Oh, we got you. Oh, it's over now.
No, I'm curious, genuinely.
Well, that's the thing. You don't need eyeballs to prove you're human. I mean, TSA lets you go through an interview. Clear makes you scan the eyeballs. So obviously, why can't I just do an interview with like the foundation that approves human beings, right? Like that could work also. I don't know why we have to give up our last like piece of privacy that we still own. You know, privacy, we're all going to comply in the future. Our privacy is going to be completely gone the longer tech is around. So, you know, why not hold on to this bit of privacy that we still have? Why do we have to give it up yet? Like, why do we have to do it right now?
Our eyeballs?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I feel so safe at night. I'm like, they don't have my eyeballs. That's the one thing that makes me feel good. As long as they don't have my eyeballs, that's what makes me
No,
feel
to Tom's
great.
point, it's relatively safe. There's probably not going to be any like kind of like major catastrophe from people
What's
accessing
the worst
the
case
data.
scenario?
There's
Okay,
a
great.
way
Let's say
bigger
someone
sense
evil
of privacy
gets my
than
eyeballs.
that.
The evilest human ever got my eyeballs. What happens next?
They're going to call up Verizon and they're going to SIM swap you and take all your JPEGs.
I love the evilest human ever.
Yeah, who is that? And they have my eyeballs.
Ask the guy with the dog.
Yeah, you're the one. Okay, sorry.
We've already seen Gattaca, though. Okay, with Gattaca, they literally take your blood every time you go to work
What?
to make sure it's you when you check in. Just look up Gattaca. I'm
Yeah,
aging myself right now.
It's required.
Is that
But-
a movie or this happened?
It's a company.
Oh, watch
Well,
Gattaca.
here's what's even crazier. The guy who was scraping his skin follicles off because any of that stuff could also show up. There's so much more to prove that you're a human than just your eyeballs.
I miss the days that I weren't alive for when you could just burn off your fingertips and rob a bank. You know?
The good old days.
Yeah, I'm Team Tom here. Like, you've given up so much more private information to Apple every day of your life than like your irises one time to this new scan. And I think it just has to do with the biometrics, just the bio aspect of it. Go ahead, Tom.
No, and for sure, like this, they don't have access to my iris scan. The only thing that they have access to is the ability to check if I've scanned before. And this goes into ZK. We're all crypto people, so we've kind of seen it. But like, nobody's gonna be able to buy my iris if.
Well, they're
WorldCoin
selling
is
them on
under-
Telegram right now. There's already a hot market or a illicit market for orb accounts.
What's
You
the
can
price?
buy.
So like if
50
you get
cents.
compromised,
I
if
need
you
to
get
go check.
compromised,
Better start stacking them now.
is that account associated with you or just the fact that you're a human? So like
The account is associated with just the fact that I'm a human, so it doesn't have my name on it. They don't have my driver's license. They don't have my phone number. Actually, they do have my phone number. That's because I gave it to them. You could just not give them your phone number.
That's it. I
And
feel like it's-
Rosenbaum,
I-
what you were saying about like the other way, that'd be like KYC, you know, like it'd be like through government documents. So it's either like that still or scan your
But also
eyeballs.
think about how gullible people are online. Like even people who are supposed to be tech savvy get got, right? They hook up their wallets or something. He said relatively safe, so that's not 100%. So if I can farm like 100,000 people and trick them, gain their identities, and then game the system with AI through their approved accounts.
I think this is good, and I feel like everybody's ignoring basically all of human history, in the sense that the minute that we can begin to like categorize people based on certain factors, we start segmenting them and punishing people that are not in favor, whether that's politically, whether that's ethnically. We have a really, really bad track record as humans. And I feel like us just kind of willfully ignoring everything that's happened in the past to say, well, we can scan our eyeballs now. It's just part of a gradual erosion of all privacy around biometric data, which for all of history has been generally used really, really badly. So why is it okay now? You know, like, because the guy made OpenAI and we all like DALL-E? Like, no. I mean, like, he may have the best intentions, and this will inevitably co-opt it into something really horrible because it always has been.
I think it's
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
really, really, really something that you hovered over about people selling or reselling on the black market of these. So .x domains are obviously being circulated right now. People are jumping on them. They're reserving some of them. But with any type of account or any type of ENS or any type of domain, make sure that you renew that. There are people placing bot bids, and there are bots in circulation right now trying to take first name, last name, dot whatever, and then spinning up accounts and then trying to fish your friends out of everything and anything, and you're not able to talk to Unstoppable or anybody else to get that back. So in terms of rolled IDs and things of this nature, any new protocol, doesn't matter if it's .lens or .xyz123, like, just be mindful of that. It's very easy to forget to update and to renew and to hold and lock down, because we're about to get into the point of where identity is everything. People used to think anonymity was everything, but it's about ownership of identity, right? And we're seeing more and more as our DNA is extracted through these different types of devices to give you convenience, right? That it's common for us to sign up and sign in with first name, last name, email, phone number, and now blood type and. So just make sure you renew your shit.
Saying,
Period.
Also, speaking of DNA extraction, we got the boy who's been extracted from T to T. That's telomere to telomere. If anyone's giving their DNA away, it's
me.
this guy. I'm sorry. Like, we can all see it here. So what's up?
I love you, Began. So we got the co-founder of Tezos here today, Arthur Brightman, in the back right there.
Wow.
And right now I know we're talking about identity solutions in WorldsCoin, and I just wanted to ask what he thinks on this matter, and if anyone, what do you guys think? Is that a good question?
Oh, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Come on up.
Heck yes.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
So I thought a bunch about proof of human solutions a while back, and I don't really like the biometric solutions, not so much for the privacy, but I feel like when you rely on secure hardware, you're going to have this hardware everywhere. It gets difficult to really not trick it. And fundamentally, I don't see any reason why you can't produce fake irises, right? You know, we can generate convincing images, we can generate convincing sounds, we can generate everything now with AI. Like, iris doesn't sound like a particularly difficult problem, especially if you have a lot of pictures of irises. The one thing that works, it's clunky, but I think it works, is to do proof of humanity through social networks. And there are a few projects who do it this way. But essentially, you bootstrap humans and you say, well, if you're a human, you're going to have to verify this person, this person. Maybe you verify your friends. Maybe you verify people that you've met in real life. And this used to be a thing in the beginning of like encryption for the public, as opposed to just for the military, where people had PGP key signing parties. So you would come up to the party and you would say, like, that's my key, sign my key, and people tried to bootstrap this web of trust. And it did not work. Like, the web of trust didn't work. But maybe this time it will be different. I think there was just not necessarily enough demand, but you can have mechanisms where if you have enough network effect, you can through graphs be able to like tell who's human and who's not human. So that's potentially a solution.
So the proof of humanity says I gotta meet someone. I gotta be like, yo, Monster Mike, he just helped that old lady across the street. I'm putting that on chain somewhere, and he's good.
See, but this is just like the whole, like in China, the facial recognition social system thing, right? This is just a American version of that. That sounds a little more like ice cream and freedom, right?
Yeah, I think the core distinction that needs to be made is your digital person versus your physical person, because you can point to Monster Mike and say, yeah, he's real, but still we need to come to a solution where we figure out how to prove a digital person.
This is a magnified version of a problem that we've had for a long time, and now essentially blockchain is public ledger. So where all these lists have been generally kept privately or within a small set of people, now all these lists are available publicly. So I think all of the issues that you have with being able to categorize and segment people based on whatever factors you want to categorize and segment them on now being public, and I think it's just going to magnify the scope of all of this. And you look at a lot of conflicts around the world, you look at a lot of the geopolitical situations, a lot of this is going to be used really, really badly, and a lot of us here won't matter. If I get scanned, how's that really going to affect my life? But the thing is, if I do it, then it makes it harder for somebody else to not do it.
Yeah.
So every time somebody does it because, hey, what's that's not going to affect my life, you make it harder for people that can be affected by it to say no. So I think it's incumbent on everybody to guys kind of stand up and not go through this stuff, because it will be used very badly at some point, and everyone who's done it will be, responsible.
And even it says anonymous, which is you're still a data point, because they can track when you registered, where you registered. Even if it's your address, the stream of numbers probably associate time and place to a certain degree. So even if you are not John Smith, you can see buying power. And he's like, our early adopters have a 25% increase in purchases versus the people who registered this time. Even though you're anonymous, they're getting a world's view on. Totally. It's called WorldCoin. You're still a data point. Actually they get a more honest view on you in this way, where they don't like, even when I worked at Google, one of the things that we had in place was that we couldn't track people based on ethnicity. Yeah. So even this, we're giving irises, that's regardless of the point. It's just being able to track people. It's like when they started tracking your CTA cards. I lived in Chicago, or whatever your trains. They could monitor how people are moving through the city. That's a data point. Yeah. Just even by this, they're tracking you based on class, because they can track all the people who registered based on your class, by your trust in the system, et cetera, and how it's going to trickle down to lower economic places where you already don't even trust the healthcare system, so you're the last one to get vaccinated, et cetera, et cetera. So they're really mapping out
social credit
a
system.
lot of this shit in a whole nother way.
This isn't funny. I know sometimes when I talk, you guys are going to laugh by default.
I'm already laughing, dude.
I know. So, with WorldCoin coming out, the congressional hearing about the aliens, and then the confirmation from the other side today, and then the orb, and then going back to...
It's called the orb. That's creepy.
Hold on. I'm not done.
I'm sorry.
No. Just let me finish, please. And with what Reagan said back in the 80s, what if we got attacked from an otherworldly, regime? We got to come together. One of my favorite books is Danse Macabre by Stephen King, and most of the reasons why we come together is when we're in fear together. Like at a movie, I'm sorry, I got scared. Oh, sorry, and we understand because we both got scared together, And to Patrick's point, it's always nefarious, and the reason why the humans are a commodity was Napoleon's idea. He made that it's never been like that. And the Turks, what they did and I'm Turkish, and I'm saying this, what they did to the Armenians gave the idea for Hitler. That's a good idea. Get rid of the intelligentsia. Smart, tokenized move, right? Never good. I'm not saying that there aren't some benefits, but it's never good. They're never on our side. So anyway, that's all.
I wonder.
Thank you.
I wonder, asking the inevitability question, right? Like we always talk about how AI is inevitable, and people, artists who are like, hey, you can't use my stuff. It's like, give up, AI is going to win. What about this? Like, if it is so commonplace, everyone's doing it, do you guys think it's inevitable?
I mean, it's okay. There'll be a time where I'll be at the club and it'll be like, oh, you haven't scanned your eyeballs? Dude, Monster Mike, I'd love to hang tonight, but I scan my eyeballs and I'm going in, and there's a lot of cool people in there, and I'd love to hang, and then you'll be out in the street and a guy will come along and he'll say, hey, I got an orb, I can scan you quick, and you'll probably scan.
Look, it's a matter of social conformity. I mean, think about when the vaccine came out, right? A lot of people were resistant, but if you had a certain job, they said you can't go to work. So you complied because your livelihood and your family was on the line. Or they said you couldn't enter this building. Well, all my friends are entering this building, so I need to go get vaxxed so I can enter the building with my friends, even though they inherently did not want to do it. So we're all going to comply eventually, and I think the people that don't, when we're in that dystopian age, they're going to be outcast. I mean, that's just the matter of fact.
I'm more optimistic. I think we have a narrow window right now where we can just say no to this stuff, and hopefully they can find a different solution. Because, as in, Rosenbaum's example, the more adopted this becomes, the harder it becomes to say no. So there's the inertia that gets behind this thing if people don't say this is fucked and not do it right now.
Sam Altman talks a lot about this being one about proof of person and also about universal basic income, because they know what they're building and they know that, you know, there's a lot of people that don't have access to this. So as soon as there is a very good WorldCoin airdrop or whatever, I feel like
is that not the biggest rug you've ever heard? I mean, of course this has come from Web3. No, you sign up for my eyeball thing, and we'll give you universal basic income from somebody else. Some other entity will provide this for you.
I'm thinking that you guys don't think that like AI is going towards.
Here's the deal. Why would you listen to him? He's the one who created the problem.
That's what I'm saying.
He spent so long creating the problem, and since 2019 been building this solution.
If you guys don't know, he's my biggest inspiration of all time. Josh, if you could pull up Sylvester McMonkey McBean. If you guys aren't Dr. Seuss fans, this is one of my biggest inspirations of all time. If you didn't know, he has a device that would both add the star to a star belly sneech and remove it. And so when it was hot to wear stars, I'll give you a star. And then all of a sudden, no, stars aren't hot. I've removed those too. And guess what? It doesn't matter what's going on. AI takes over the world. I'm making money. AI doesn't take over the world. I'm making money here. And I do think that Sam Altman is, boom, this guy right here, Sylvester McMonkey McBean. It's a fact, right? And like, guess what? He's gonna get rich no matter what. If AI doesn't take over, he goes, "You're welcome." AI does take over, he goes, "That was me." And so, like, I'm not saying it's good, but
I mean, 20 years ago, before the iPhone came out, they were like, they're gonna make you want to desire a microchip in you. And well, they did that with the iPhone. It's not a microchip in you, but you're like, oh, I get to do that with that. Oh, I get to connect with that. Oh, I get to do that app. Oh, that app, and it's like always on you, right? So it's very interesting. So when it's they did that with me on Barry season 3. If I don't get vaccinated, I can't be on the show. But they're dangling. Don't you want to be a star? Oh, but okay. So I got to suck dick to get on that role. Basically.
Well, guess what? Wow. It worked, Troy. He's a star. Okay, and actually with that,
let's pull up his IMDb.
Before we get even more dystopian, because I got to be honest, if we talk more AI, it's going to get a lot darker.
That's not how the vaccine works.
Yeah. So with that, thank you, everyone. That was our show. We'll be back next week. Thank you, our panelists.